Open world survival games are one of the best genres for gaming. You have a large amount of freedom on how you play and approach obstacles. Rather than be restricted to one certain playstyle, a lot of these games can let you be range, magic, or melee depending on the game's setting. And who can forget, you have the option to build your base typically wherever you want to be. Customization is the name of the game, but there are so many games out there that it can be hard to choose what to invest time into, as a lot of these games have a large time investment played into it. You have to kill enemies, gather resources, keep yourself alive by eating, working on your skills to get better. It's a lot you have to do, and all these games do it differently. The list of survival crafts I have for you today will range from low-intensive, non-stressful to the most stressful that you're gonna hate your life playing this game possibly. I'll be focusing mostly on games that can be played solo or co-op. I'll do a strictly solo game one day in the future though. And just for a quick mention, as a first one, I'm gonna say Minecraft. Yes, it is a survival crafter game, and it perhaps is already your first one. Real talk, Minecraft is a really good game with a lot of modding potential, so that way if you get bored of the vanilla experience, you can have different things going on. There you go, there is the Minecraft mention, so that way somebody in the comments doesn't go, well, what about Minecraft? The first game I have here is Terraria. Terraria isn't really a survival game. It lacks some basic elements in survival games, namely eating or drinking to stay alive. However, we do have base building and resource gathering within Terraria. I recommend Terraria if you're brand new in the survival craft genre. There's less pressure as you don't need to eat to stay alive or drink, so therefore the barrier to entry isn't too high. Every world you make has a large number of customization options. You can have a small one or a gigantic world. And it's all procedurally generated, meaning that every world is almost unique and one of a kind. You may get lucky with one world having multiple helpful items spawn nearby, or you may get screwed over, but that's part of the fun. There are many ways to play and many weapons to choose from. You can be a melee tank, magic user, ranged, or even a summoner. Accessories change your playstyle, like having the ability to run faster, fly, double jump, and many more to choose from. There's also a large number of bosses in the game, and that's kind of the story. You prepare yourself to fight a boss and then repeat until you get to a stronger one, and so on until you finally hit the credits. There are so many hours of content. I have about 700 hours into the game, which some would say is rookie numbers. And you can also fish in this game. Terraria is also a very cheap game, and for some reason almost everybody has it on Steam, so if you happen to not have it, it's very affordable and maybe you can play with some friends. You can't talk about Terraria without mentioning Tmod. Tmod Loader is the moddable version of Terraria filled with almost near endless modding capability. People have made complete mod packs filled with new bosses, items, story even, and so on. Check out Calamity because it's one of the most insane mod packs ever. It's crazy what fans can do. So if you ever think your journey in Terraria is finished, well, there's more content with mods for you. And there's even a basic needs mod, so finally we can call Terraria a survival craft game. Okay, for an official survival crafting game but still within the 2D space, I recommend Core Keeper. Personally, I would say that the game is not intense in terms of combat as Terraria, but it has survival elements, a cute and cozier vibe, and will fulfill that survival crafting itch you may be looking for. You have to stay alive by killing your enemies, hunting for food, or growing and harvesting it. There are some battles with tough enemies and bosses that you may find along the way as you play, and this is all done within the underground world of Core Keeper. The underground world may not be as appealing as an open world with a big open sky to not make you feel so claustrophobic, but the gameplay loop here can still be very fun. Whacking away at walls for resources, occasionally seeing a new sparkly object in the distance and running over to it never gets boring. And as you keep progressing, you'll find new and unique biomes that'll surprise you. Who would have thought all of this would exist? I thought it'd just be dirt and grass everywhere. You can domesticate cute farm animals like cows, dodos, and this little bug guy. He's a cutie actually. Oh, and yes, you can fish in this game as well. You can get creative and make some cool bases. Overall, Core Keeper is a unique game that blends cozy survival, exploration, and intense fights all into one game. At first glance, you'll see Raft and go, what the hell kind of game takes place entirely on a raft? And well, you're not entirely wrong, but Raft is a way of life. This raft is yours and you're the raft. Weird mantra aside, Raft is the first steps out of 2D games in the line of 3D survival crafters. An excellent game for those who want to step into the first-person survival crafters, and if you're not too afraid of a scary deep ocean. Let me tell you how Raft starts off. You have a small 2x2 raft, and from there you need to grab resources that magically swim towards you. With those resources, you build your raft into a bigger and bigger home for yourself. And don't you dare think that you can set up a permanent base at an island, because the game will not work like that. All the resources you'll need are actually located on other islands that you need to go to, or just straight up on the ocean. I don't know, it just works like that. The look of Raft gives you this beach vacation relaxation energy. Well, if the beach vacation was entirely on a raft, and you're not really on a vacation, but rather a full-time job of keeping yourself alive. Oh, did I mention you're constantly stalked by a big shark that will take a bite out of you the second you fall off your raft? This is just some of the danger you'll encounter during Raft. There are other wild animals that are out to kill you, so be ready for that as well. There is a structure for you to follow in Raft. There's actually a story. While there are random generic islands that you may encounter during your journey in Raft, there's also some story-specific ones and settlements that are much larger. You move through this post-apocalyptic flooded world to find others who are trying to make it out on their own as well, to eventually maybe finding a civilization out there. Is there one? Who knows? Play to find out. The combat of Raft is not even close to that of Terraria or Core Keeper. It's really simple and not that difficult, honestly. So if you're not a fan of high combat type games and want something a little bit more chill, then Raft is up your alleyway. The most intense moments of Raft that I can recall are the small jump scares from the shark coming to bite me or some wild animal sneaking up behind me. The best feeling in Raft is seeing your raft becoming bigger and bigger, having all these amenities, and just feeling like a real home as you keep going. You'll see your progression, and it'll make you feel proud knowing that you went from one small raft into making it a mobile home. And yes, by the way, you can fish in Raft. Okay, for something more intense. 7 Days to Die is somewhat may describe as the Minecraft for adults. It's a weird description, and even I'm not a huge fan of it, but I kind of get it. A majority of this world can be your base, outside of the traders and their bases, but you have the freedom to build your base wherever you want, and I like that, and it's all complete with a system that's very similar to Minecraft's building. You have one small cube, and this thing can grow into a bigger and bigger base. And also, we have zombies, the primary enemy of this game. They'll range from slow-walking free EXP dummies to high-sprinting... Why is he moving so fast? Wait, stop, wait, huh? For those who are curious and asking, why is this game called 7 Days to Die? Will I then die at the 7th day? And the answer is... yes. But you can prevent your death by properly prepping yourself prior to the 7th night. During the 7th night, there will be a horde of zombies that will descend upon your location regardless of where you are. The game will go from survival crafting to base defending real fast, and honestly, the action gamer in me kind of likes that. And if you happen to survive your 7th night, then you have to repeat it all over again in 7 more days against an even more powerful horde. Now, I do want to express that there are some players of this game that are not a big fan of the direction that the devs are going in. The game was in early access for about 10 years and was finally released in 1.0 last year in 2024. The game has had so many transformations that it wasn't exactly the way it was way back in the day. Hell, I remember playing one of the beta builds of this game a long time ago, and there was a point where you can actually use empty bottles to gather water. This bottle made it so your drinking problems would be solved instantly. Instead, now whenever you drink water, it'll just disappear from your hands, just like real life, of course. Some may consider 7 Days to Die to be sort of a dungeon crawler game, with a majority of the game loop being that you take jobs from traders, go to a place of interest or POIs, do the job, and go back home and collect your reward. Prep for the 7th day, repeat until you finally get bored of the game. The game does ramp up in difficulty though. Later zombies will try to overwhelm you with their numbers, or they'll throw out special ones like this Yeti type. Also, zombies have this insane ability to find your weakest point in your base, attack that, and demolish to get to you. There is a standard map of the world, or you can make your own by procedurally generating one. Honestly, despite its gripes, 7 Days to Die can be a fun game to play. I've sank a lot of time into it, and there are some adventures to be had. The combat is fun, and you'll see a lot of different guns and melee weapons to use. The base building has some depth as well, as you can build your own base wherever or take over a POI. And bonus points for every time I brought in a new player and they were just simply lost on what to do, and seeing somebody struggle is always fun. At least to me, that is. The price point though of 7 Days to Die is a tad bit high. $45 about is kind of a lot for most people. But if you can buy it, overall I say it's a solid survival crafting game that occasionally has updates and one day will apparently get human bandits, so let's make sure the devs get on that. But I'm going to have to dock a point because you cannot fish in 7 Days to Die. Sad. Out of all the games on this list, if there's one that you have to just play and you're not sure what it is, I say it's Abiotic Factor. This is hands down one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Picture this, Half-Life with SCP-like monsters set loose in a top-secret facility wrapped up in a survival game. This is heaven. I put Abiotic in the middle of the list as it has some elements that may put off some people, namely the horror aspects. There are some creepy moments in this game. For example, when it's lights out at night, it can be a bit scary navigating around during your first night. Oh, especially when there's a security bot that will run you down if spotted. Another example, we have Silent Hill in the game. Well, it's called Flat Hill, but you can see the inspiration here. Flat Hill is just one of the many portal worlds that you can explore in Abiotic Factor. I would say more about portal worlds, but really you should just play the game yourself and investigate on your own. Abiotic plays perfectly like a survival crafter should, but also adds more on top of it. Guys, you can poop in this game. Wow. You'll need to use both science and ingenuity to find your way out of the dangerous scientific facility that you've been trapped in. This game is just tons of fun. You'll be discovering new areas, new enemies, lore, and items along the way that'll just keep making the game more exciting as you keep going. This game just doesn't know when to stop when it comes to throwing you fun and unique surprises. This game is an honest 10 out of 10. Honestly, out of all the games on this list, I highly recommend this one if you can play it. And to top it all off, we do have fishing. Have you ever wanted to play a vampire in a top-down survival game? Well, now you can in V Rising. You play as a vampire and your main goal is to defeat the bosses of the game to gain additional powers. These powers can range from things like blood magic, chaos, and many more. The combat of the game can be comparable to Terraria or Core Keeper, with many fights ending up being bullet hells. Eventually, you can build up your cool vampire castle to strike fear into the humans nearby, but you really can't build wherever you want. You can only build within certain areas. Nevertheless, you build up your small and humble home to becoming your base of operations to launch attacks from. As vampires, you need to stay out of the sun and take advantage of the dark or shade nearby to get an edge on the enemies. I really do like the top-down gameplay. It really reminds me of games like Diablo and action RPGs. You do exchange a bit of freedom that the other games provide, but you still have a lot of hours of content to play with this one. Overall, a very solid game to play. Out of all the games on this list, this is one of two that I recommend you don't play alone. Unless you can handle horror, then by all means go for it. But The Forest or Sons of the Forest, I'm gonna lump these two together. The Forest is the first game that came out, while Sons of the Forest came out in recent years. And when it comes to survival crafting, this one takes that classic imagery of surviving out in the wilderness, using sticks and leaves to make your fire, hunting animals and brutally slaughtering them for food. It gets creative as well, like using turtle shells as ring collectors. And the enemies of this game are clever and just downright freaky looking sometimes. The cannibals either roam alone as a scout or in hunting parties, and they will sometimes sneak up on you without a single sound. You may not notice they're even there until it's too late. They may even attack you at night, making it hard to get a good night's sleep, therefore affecting your energy for the next day. Then there's the mutants, which, without going too much into them, they're just downright creepy and have an unsettling appearance like something out of Silent Hill. Just to note, I've only ever played Sons of the Forest, and in my limited time of playing the first game, I believe that the second game has a bit more variety with weapons. In Sons of the Forest, you do have a lot more ranged weapons to use, but unfortunately you are limited on ammo, so don't go too crazy. But compared to the first game, in Sons, you do have some NPCs that can help you. There are two NPCs, the first one being Kelvin, a mute NPC who helps you with gathering materials. He helps with cutting down resource gathering time while you go off and hang out with the other NPC, Virginia. Virginia is a three-legged woman. and yes, you did hear me correctly, with 3 arms as well. Unlike Kelvin though, she occasionally gives you gifts but also fights alongside with you if you give her weapons. Even though we have 2 NPCs in Suns, I'll just have to say, that's not enough to make me play solo, but maybe some of you guys can give it a try. Building your own base in this dangerous landscape does feel rewarding. It can be a pretty game to look at. Having a rainy day in your cabin home can be a great way to kick back after a stressful day of dealing with scary cannibals. I will say one thing though, I would have loved to see more decorations in the game just to kind of fill out the space a bit more. But the forest games can be the ultimate getaway on an island for you to relax. That is after you killed all the scary enemies lurking nearby, that is. And in case you're wondering, you can fish, but there's no real rod or anything, you kind of have to get kind of creative. Yes, go for it. Try using grenades to fish for fish if you want to. The final game I'm showing off today is something that is still in early access, but this game has so much potential to it. Project Zomboid has some of the most in-depth mechanics in a game that I've ever played ever. You have to keep your character warm from the cold, have protection against the zombies that are trying to bite you on any kind of part of your body. Your body actually strains from physical fatigue after you exercise, and individual parts of your clothing could need repair alongside with your weapons as well. And to top it all off, this game does not make you feel like you're anything special, you're as fragile as a glass house. Something so simple can result in your death. One minute you can handle a horde of zombies, the next one zombie will bite you and that's game over. This game is not forgiving, especially when you log into the game, it tells you this is how you die. Even the tutorial wants you dead. This game just outright hates you, but that's what makes it so fun because it's so tough. What doesn't make it entirely fun though is the amount of stuff that you have to learn. The learning curve is pretty steep. I ended up being paralyzed by all the stuff I had to learn and didn't dive back into the game until much later when I had a friend to play with. Combat isn't just a simple whack zombies until they're dead. You need to approach every single encounter carefully because you have 1 life and you are dead if you make 1 mistake. You also have a various amount of skills that you can grind, but it takes a very long time to get that up. This game is very time consuming, honestly. Gathering new weapons, crafting, or scavenging is all a long process, but if it all works out, you'll be surviving in the world of the unforgiving Project Zomboid. But if you die, which may happen, it'll all be gone. The character that you were playing loses everything, and the only way to get their stuff back is to go on a new character and kill your old character that's now a zombie. Although you may get your items back, you don't get any of the skills that you worked on previously, so if you spent a lot of time on one character, yeah, that's a feels bad moment. It's better to be over-prepared and ready rather than be under-prepared, lest you lose your character with hours and hours of progress. The entire game takes place in a fictional American area known as the Knox Country. No procedural generation here, just a stupidly large map. It's very big. The biggest area in the game is Louisville. It's just a huge dead city filled with a lot of zombies and loot, so go at your own discretion. While the scope of PZ is numerous, just like the other games I mentioned before, these games can be enjoyed multiplayer or solo. With Zomboid though, unless you have a specific mod that adds in NPCs into the game, vanilla Zomboid is a dead game itself, meaning that when you're playing alone, you are, in fact, alone. There are no other NPCs to find an ally, no raiders, it's just dead, no quests, only you. For me, I would typically get bored of playing once I've secured an area, gather some supplies and weapons, and then just wait until I eventually get bored or die. Since the game doesn't really have a story to push you and your only goal is to not die, it can be tough to find some kind of motivation to keep playing. So I highly recommend you play this game with friends. There is also some modding for this game that'll help to add to your play, such as having an RV that's fully interactable with an interior, or go with this simple RuneScape style EXP drop for your UI. Go take a look, there's a lot of great mods out there for you. Other than that, PZ is an excellent game, it's great, but the only problem is that it's a sandbox and you have to make your own adventure and story up yourself, so if you lack that imagination, you might have a rough time. And finally, you can fish in Project Zomboid. Those are all the games that I've played that I recommend for survival crafting. Now do keep in mind, I know there's a bunch of other games that I may have not played that you may be thinking, hey, this dummy hasn't put my favorite in there. These games are a huge time sink, so maybe one day I'll get back to them. So give me some time, I'll be right back guys, I assure you, but here are some games that are worth considering that I've heard that are good. If you want to see more content like this, then leave me a like and a subscribe. Until next video, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good one. Thank you so much.